This is ridiculous. I have 5 MLB prop bets, and what you see right here is if you were to play my 5 picks on FanDuel, you'd only be getting $250 to win $2,000. We're going to be playing it on Underdog Fantasy. I found a ton of value where any 5 picks is going to give you $5K. So our payout is 2.5 times higher than the sports books, right? And this is really how you make money on Underdog Fantasy. It's all about looking for value, right? So we've gone through the math plenty of times, okay? When you're playing on Underdog Fantasy, any 5-pick entry, so you need 5 picks to win, essentially the sports book or Underdog, they're setting the juice at minus 122, right? And we'll go through that here in a sec. But essentially, when you're playing 2-pick entries on Underdog Fantasy or on Prize Picks, you should assume you're getting minus 137 odds, right? Because that's how the math works. On the OddsJam YouTube, we really try to focus on math, data, explaining to you how these fantasy companies work, how they try to make money off you, how they juice their lines. So you can look for value and understand really how do the people who do this full-time for a living, how do the sharp bettors make money off of these platforms. And essentially, what you'll notice is on Underdog Fantasy, right, there will be 2 lines available on OddsJam. So you can browse odds completely for free for any sport you want to look at. We have underdog lines, prize pick lines available, as well as sports betting odds. And you can look for value, right? So one of the first picks I have is Michael Taylor to record a hit, right? So this is just the player hits market. You can, for any market you want to look at, browse odds on OddsJam, search for value. And what you'll notice is hey, all of the sports books are juicing this, minus 145 to minus 200. And we can get this in a 2-pick power play at minus 137, which is the implied juice on Underdog. Or we could play this in a 3-pick or a 5-pick on Underdog and get minus 122 juice, which is right here, right? So obviously, if you can find 3 really good bets on Underdog, you would much rather, mathematically speaking, play 1 3-pick entry as opposed to 2 2-pick entries, right? You don't necessarily, if you have 3 picks, go with a 3-pick entry, not a 2-pick entry. If you have 5 picks, go with a 5-pick entry, not a 4-pick entry. Or if you have 5 picks, you can kind of create different 3-pick entries, right? Because the odds are the most advantageous. And you need to wrap your head around how Underdog Fantasy works, right? Essentially, we're looking for value in 3-pick entries where we like our bets at minus 122 odds. And the reason is, the first thing I guess I'll say is the reason I like this play is on Underdog Fantasy, they're not varying the payouts depending on if we select the over or the under. So we're always getting this minus 122 implied juice, right? So we definitely want to go with the over here, because every sportsbook has the over heavily juiced, right? He's a lot more likely to get a hit than to not get a hit, as all the sportsbooks are pricing his over half of a hit or his to record a hit as a heavy favorite, right? Bet Online, a very sharp offshore sportsbook, is pricing this at minus 179. So this is how you should be thinking about sports betting. It's the way the pros do it, the sharps do it, is you're treating every bookmaker as an independent data point of where the line should be set, and then you're looking for discrepancies, you're looking for value. And because Underdog Fantasy, right, they're not varying this payout amount depending on if you select overs or unders, it literally doesn't matter. Any 5 picks, $250 to win $5,000, right? So here, in this case, it's we definitely want to go with the over for Michael Taylor to get a hit because the over is a lot more juiced, right? Same thing with Michael Massey, which is the second pick I have. All the sports books have the over heavily juiced. The over a lot more likely to occur than the under. So I played it in my underdog entry, right? So kind of a way you can think about this implied juice. And again, I know this is a recap for some people who use the OddsJam YouTube and tools a lot, but for a 2-pick entry on Underdog, right, you're getting 20 to win 60. 20 to win 40 in profit, right? It's not 20 to win 60 in profit. So any 2 picks you select, 20 to win 60, right? So essentially, the implied juice, because any 2 picks on Underdog, you're getting 20 to win 60. So roughly the same here. The implied juice that they're giving you is minus 137, right? So when you're betting, you should assume you're placing bets at minus 137 odds. Now, if you're placing a 3-pick entry, it's minus 122 because you're betting 20 to win 120, 100 in profit, which is just plus 500 odds. 20 to win 120, right? So essentially, all your picks, you're getting at minus 122 implied odds, right? So what we want to do next is kind of look for our picks. So Michael Taylor, over half of a hit. Again, browsing odds on OddsJam is completely free. What this positive EV tool does is it really just scans the sports books. Right now, I just have Underdog Fantasy selected in my filters, but of course you can select any sports book. And what it kind of does is it just scans for the biggest discrepancies, right? There's no BS. It's just where's the value and the odds. And obviously this is a pretty big one considering every sports book has the over heavily juiced, which means the over is a lot more likely to hit than the under, right? BetOnline is one of the sharpest offshore sports books, and this is the easiest way to make money sports betting. I don't know anything about Michael Taylor. No idea who he is, but you don't have to know, right? The people who make money sports betting are not the people who watch highlight reels of the Kansas City Royals. It's people who understand the data, right? All of the bookmakers are saying, hey, the over is a lot more likely to hit than the under. BetOnline saying it should be a heavy favorite, priced at minus 179. So essentially, based on BetOnline's market, where they're pricing their over and their under, they're saying that Michael Taylor 60.22% to get a hit, which implies a true price, true odds, no vig odds of minus 151. Right? Now, DraftKings is a little less bullish on Michael Taylor to get a hit, but they're pricing this minus 145 plus 110, right? So they think he's 55.41% to get a hit. So because every sportsbook prices, these player props independently, you can treat them all as kind of, an independent data point of where the line should be set. And what you'll notice is kind of the whole market is in agreeal that Underdog Fantasy is just way off and they shouldn't be offering a line on Michael Taylor, right? So even though Underdog Fantasy, they have a bit more juice baked into their market, like you can see DraftKings has 35 cents of juice, plus 110 to minus 145. Underdog Fantasy for a 2-pick entry has 74 cents. The way you get a leg up on Underdog Fantasy is because they're not ever changing these odds, right? If the pitcher changes, and both pitchers become a lot worse, Michael Taylor is going to be a lot more likely to get a hit. So sportsbooks are going to take the odds, even more juice towards the over. Whereas Underdog Fantasy can't change. They either have to pull the market or leave it up and get hit. So this is a really good bet. So obviously it's like DraftKings a little less bullish than BetOnline in terms of this guy getting a hit, but still the true price according to their market would be minus 124. We're getting minus 122 in our underdog entry. So overall, looking at every sportsbook, pretty clear value. Next play I have Corbin Carroll, right? So essentially OddsJam is just a cheat code for Underdog Fantasy, right? You literally just refresh this EV page and it's going to show you all the line discrepancies, all the plays with value. Corbin Carroll, over half of a hit, pretty clear value. Michael Massey, previous one we went through. Once again, BetOnline is the most bullish on most of these players, which is a little interesting, but regardless, it's a very sharp bookmaker. Then we have Ian Happ, and then we have Mike Yastrzemski. So Giants game, Cubs game, Rockies game. So we can go to our pick right here. 5 picks to win 5K. Michael Massey. In Royals, Tigers, Michael Taylor. Also in Royals, Tigers. So these should be a little correlated, right? Because if this guy gets a hit and gets on base, this guy should be more likely to have more at-bats, get more hits. Corbin Carroll. In the Diamondbacks game, we have Ian Happ in the Cubs game, like that a lot. And then we have Mike Yastrzemski in the Giants game. So 5 picks, $250 to win 5K. Let's make some money.